What's up YouTube, Dell here from Zephyr, and today I'm going to bring you a dedicated combo guide for the Shaddolls profile I showed you all the other day. So what I'm going to do in this one, again, the exact same I've done with the tellers, is I'm going to do a two combos that are going to be 1 to 1.5 card combos to show you the basics of what the deck wants to try and do, and I'll do a randomized test stand so you can see what the deck does on an average basis. In this combo, I'm going to show you what happens if you start off with Blazing Cartasia and why Cartasia is such a great card for the deck. Now, in an ideal scenario, if you still want to get part of the combo that I showed you with the profile, being the Decatron with the Monster Negate, then you kind of want to get this over the back of a Fusion deployment. We'll go off the scenario that we only hard open up Blazing Cartasia, or route to it, and then all you need is any other Shaddolls monster in the hand. That's just your fusion material. So you're going to start off by getting Cartasia to the field. You can use Cartasia's effect to fusion summon, and this will then get you into Construct. Now, I'm not going to include Beast because it can be any Shaddolls monster, so I'm not going to go with that randomized effect. But what you will be able to control here is you're going to be able to use Construct effect to send from deck to grave. You're going to want to send Squamata, and then Squamata will send another one from deck to grave, being your Grista. You'll now be able to trigger Grista's effect to banish itself, plus Squamata, plus the other Shaddolls monster. Doesn't really matter which one it is. If you do hit one of the other combo pieces that I'll show you later on throughout this combo, that's absolutely fine. You just take that step then and there. So on this one, you're going to want to get into the El Shaddolls Mesh, and in doing so, you've now got the ability to activate Mesh's effect to pay 800 life points and grab yourself your Lev Shaddolls Fusion. Activate the Lev Shaddolls Fusion, and you're going to want to send a fusion monster from the extra deck to the grave. So we're going to send El Shaddolls App Clone. Now again, in the next scenario that I'm about to show you is if you've already hard opened up something like the El Shaddolls Hedgehog, or the Shaddolls Hedgehog or anything else, you can very easily send Elder Entity Ints. You can very easily send any of your other fusion monsters as well. Your Infernal Evil as well will get the job done for you just as much. There's just different ways depending on what else you've opened up, but going with a baseline of a 1.5 card combo, this is the route you need to follow. So in doing so, App Clone will then let you add a Shaddolls card from the deck to the hand, and then you're going to have to discard a card. In this scenario, we're going to discard the Hedgehog. In doing so, you can trigger the Hedgehog's effect to let you grab your re-Shaddolls Wendy from the deck to the hand as well. So now you've pretty much got the pieces that you need, and you've kind of picked everything up. What you now want to do is use the secondary effect of your Lev Shaddolls Fusion. So all you need to do is tribute a fusion monster to special summon a Shaddolls fusion monster with a different attribute. So you're going to tribute off a Light to get you into an Earth. In doing so, you could trigger El Shaddolls Construct effect, but there's no Shaddolls spells or traps in the graveyard as of yet. The idea is that you now want to get access to your Meshizer, which again, isn't a hard once per turn. So pay 800 life points, grab yourself your Void Unleashing, which is just broken. And the reason that we didn't get Void Unleashing directly by sending Infernal Evil was because we didn't have that Shaddolls monster in the hand, or that Shaddolls spell, or that Shaddolls trap, which is why we've done it this route. If you've already opened up one of those pieces, then you can kind of bypass this little step and just go directly into sending Infernal Evil. So this is also another way of how you can play the combo without Infernal Evil as well. So we're going to activate our Void Unleashing. You're going to reveal Wendy in the hand, and you're going to grab a Shaddolls Trap and a Shaddolls Spell. You then need to discard a card, so we're going to discard the Trap. Don't worry, we're going to get that back to our hand very quickly and very easily. So we're going to activate our El Shaddolls Fusion. You're going to fuse your Wendy plus one of your mechs. You're going to want to make sure you use the one that's 0 attack, because that's not really doing anything for you. And you're going to get into your re-Shaddolls Wendy Kuru. Now what you're going to do is going to trigger a chain of events. You're going to go Chain Link 1 will be Wendy to special summon a Shaddolls monster to face down defense, and Chain Link 2 will be the mech to bring back one from the graveyard. This will be your El Shaddolls Construct. In doing so, the one you're going to want to special summon will be your Nel Shaddolls Aerial, and that's going to be in face down defensition. Then use Wendy Kuru to flip up your Nel Shaddolls, this being in the graveyard, and this will allow you to bring back one of your flip monsters. So any of your Shaddolls monsters, it doesn't matter which one you bring back. The idea is you just need to bring this one back so you can then put these two together. One thing that I did miss is when you bring back El Shaddolls Construct, it's just on special summon, you send from deck to the grave. We're going to send the other Shaddolls Trap card, and don't worry, again, we're going to get these back to our hand very easily. So you're going to put both of these two together. This one's going to let you go into your Shaddolls Construct. You'll then use Shaddolls Construct to fusion summon using itself and the El Shaddolls Construct, and this will go into a El Shaddolls Construct here. You'll trigger the effect of the El Shaddolls Construct you just used as fusion material to get you one of the trap cards back to the hand. This is another scenario that if you did do exactly what I did in the combo and forgot to use the El Shaddolls Construct when you brought it back from the grave, you can use his effect now to send from deck to grave. In this scenario, usually you'll just send Shaddolls Beast because they get you that random draw. But again, I'm not even going to go on direct routes on that one. We're just going to go randomized with Dragon. But in an ideal scenario, when you can choose what you send, you're probably going to send Beast to give you that random draw. We're not done here yet either, because we're now going to send the El Shaddolls construct to the graveyard to bring back our Shaddolls construct, again triggering the effect of your El Shaddolls construct to add back a Shaddolls spell or trap. So you're going to want to add back your Shaddolls Schism. And then what you're going to want to do here is you're going to be able to set your Schism, set your re-Shaddolls, and you're obviously going to end up with the 1 card you've drawn off a beast plus 3 more cards in the hand. And then just to make it even better for you, is during the end phase, because a fusion monster, plenty, was sent to the graveyard, you'll also add back the Blazing Cartasia. If you want to deck thin as well, you can also very easily banish the Void Unleashing and search out your Decatron. So you've got that for a follow-up of the next turn as well. And yeah, you're in a pretty good position. If you're able to loop your El Shaddolls construct back 1 more time, or any other Shaddolls monster that lets you add from grave back to the hand, then you'll be able to add back the Shaddolls Fusion, which you can do instead of adding back the rest Shaddolls if you want to. The only difference is you've got materials to make a fusion summon, because you've got 3 different here. It's entirely up to you. I do like the idea of using El Shaddolls Fusion to use the mech to then get into Shekanaga. Can also be quite useful during your opponent's turn, but it really kind of comes down to, you know, how you'd want to play it, and guaranteeing that you've got a full fresh hand again, plus a Cartasia for follow-up is just really, really nice. So that's kind of what happens if you start off with your Cartasia. Now let me show you what happens when you start off with your other starter in the deck, being Mathematician. So I'm going to be back in a second. Okay, so this one's a little bit more streamlined. This is with your other starter being Mathematician, so a little bit more specific, but the idea is it gives you more interruptions than you need to really worry about, because it gives you ways to control your opponent's field a little bit more. So again, as always, shout out to Zamora Boss. I'll put the link in the description down below. You'll see all of the combos that they've got available for you. So you start off with Mathematician. On normal summon, you send from deck to grave a level 4 or lower monster, so you're going to send Squamata. Squamata then sends the Grista. So it's pretty much the exact same idea with Armageddonite. You'd go normal summon Armageddonite, send and send. You're then going to trigger Grista's effect. You're going to banish your Mathematician, Squamata and Grista itself to get you into the mech. Then you're going to be able to use Mech's effect, pay 800 life points to grab your Lev, activate Lev, and then this is going to allow you to send your App Cologne from deck, extra deck to the graveyard. Again, the exact same scenarios pull up. If you open up an additional Shaddolls monster, if you already open up a Shaddolls monster, you don't need to rely on this step of App Cologne. You can actually just send your Infernal Evil and go direct for a Void Unleashing and then change the combo up even more. But this is again just direct. What happens if you have only Mathematician? Off the App Cologne, you're going to grab the Wendy this time, and then Wendy you're going to discard, trigger the effect to get the Hedgehog set face down onto the field. At this point here, you want to use your Lev Shaddolls to tribute off your mech. This will then get you direct into Construct. Trigger off Chainlink 1 Construct, Chainlink 2 Mech. Mech will be able to bring back the Rest Shaddolls Wendy. It will then allow you to use your Construct to send your Rest Shaddolls Incarnation. And the benefit of this one is you get to banish the Rest Shaddolls from the graveyard and then any Shaddolls monster to then flip one of your own monsters face up, being your Hedgehog. At this point here, you'll then be able to grab your El Shaddolls Fusion, and then it's entirely up to you on where you'd want to proceed from this point on. What I mean by that is you can very easily activate El Shaddolls Fusion and fuse into another construct to Foolish Burial, but then you don't get more resource off the back of this. What you want to try and do is set up a couple of different interactions during your opponent's turn, so you're better off holding the El Shaddolls Fusion for that point. What I mean by that is by linking off 2 of your flip monsters, you can go into the Shaddolls Construct. You can use the Shaddolls Construct effect here to fuse both of these together to get you into an El Shaddolls Construct and send from deck to grave another interruption in the form of Shaddolls Schism. At this point here, to get your Shaddolls Schism back from the graveyard, you can just send off your El Shaddolls Construct for Shaddolls Construct and grab yourself the Schism. Now what you're going to be able to do here is set both of these cards, and then I'm going to show you what happens during your opponent's turn, the different type of routes you can go to in order to disrupt your opponent. So, you want to start off by Schism. With Schism, you've got the option to go very, very simple. You can banish any Shaddolls monster and then your Hedgehog. That gets you your Winder. Great success. But you might as well get the Winder off of the back of your El Shaddolls Fusion. So what you want to do here is you can banish again any 2 that you wish to, but the other is as long as they're 2 with different attributes, you can work yourself into the App Cologne. This will make sure that you've got a bit more resource to play around with a little bit later on as well. So this gets you into the App Cologne. App Cologne, if it is special, you get the target face-up card on the field and negates effects. If it's sent to the grave, you add a Shaddolls card from the deck or grave to the hand and then discard a card. So we've already used our Schism. Now what you need to do is activate your El Shaddolls Fusion, and then depending on what you want to try and achieve later on, will depend on what card you go for. So if you were to use Shaddolls Construct and your App Cologne, again, this opens up the door to a construct itself, but it can also very easily just open itself up to a baseline Winder, which does a very good job. In doing so, what you're also going to be able to trigger is you'll be able to trigger the app clone effect to add you any Shaddolls card and then discard it. So at this point, we haven't really gone through many Shaddolls cards. But what you can do is you can add yourself a Squamata. Oh, there we go. Discard said Squamata, and then Squamata's effect will trigger to discard the Grista. You can now trigger the Grista's effect, being your only special summon, and banish whichever ones you want to. Now, in an ideal world, you can just go for another mech. You can also, if you kept the Wendy in the graveyard from when we banished it previously, work your way into the Wendy Kuru, which will give you the ability to change any face downs to face up. Or very simply as well, you can just work your way into a El Shaddolls construct with the right materials, of course, and that will then allow you to send another Shaddolls from the deck to the grave. So you've basically added yourself with a construct, and then as you start to build this play on, as long as you're not sending cards that are attempting to special summon, this can pretty much end you onto loads of different options. So you can go for a Aerial to let you banish cards from your opponent's graveyard. You can go for a Beast to draw one. You can go for a Dragon to destroy a spell or trap. And then at this point on, that's kind of the only ones you need to worry about. You can go for a Genius to negate a card as well. So there's different ways that you can interact with your opponent here, but the idea is that you've negated one off of App Cologne. You've then locked your opponent down to only committing one special summon. If they tried to special summon a Dark Monster, Schism sends it. Or if they already have a Dark Monster on the field that you negated, Schism sends it. And then your one special summon is going to be your construct, and then your construct can lead yourself into a negate, a spell destruction, a draw for a follow-up, or a banish from the graveyard. So you've got more lines of disruption if you need to, and even then, you don't even need to worry about it so much. And best case scenario is if either of these leave the field, you're going to be able to get your El Shaddolls fusion back to the hand. The only thing you don't even need to worry about your Schism actually, because your Schism, the monster we made was App Clone, so that's the only one that can't attack directly, whereas both of these can now attack directly. And then as it comes back to your turn, it doesn't really matter what you draw, because again, you can activate your Schism, because as long as you do it during the main phase, the only monster just won't be able to attack directly. You banish the materials from the graveyard, summon out another one of your fusion monsters, so you could even go into the mech with the right materials. This one just can't attack directly, but it attacks the only monster your opponent's put on the field in defense position. It also pays 800 to grab you a Void Spell or Trap or a Shaddolls. And if you really want to, before you even make this, you can very easily use Lev Shaddolls to get rid of your own Winder, and then unlock yourself from that special summon lock. And then again, Schism, whatever you swap the Winder out for, maybe Wendy Kuru, maybe an App Cologne, anything you really want to be honest. So that's it for both the combos, very basic. If you do want to see more, then by all means, let me know in the comments down below. I'll be more than happy to do so, but I highly advise you go and check out Zamora Boss. Like, his combo videos are really, really good for all types of decks, and I always like to give them a shout out where at all possible in regards to the ones that I kind of use as repeat inspiration and kind of direct you in the way to see all the rest of them. So now what I'm going to do is show you a randomized test hand with the deck as well. So we're going to shuffle it up and then show you exactly what the deck can do on a randomized basis. So after a very decent shuffle and a good old cut, our opening hand of 5 for our randomized test hand will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you've got a couple of different starters here. Foolish Burial can work within reason, you know, Foolish Burial or Squamata. We've got the Lev Shaddolls. Now, Lev Shaddolls makes it quite awkward for your opponent to interact with because it sends from the extra deck to the graveyard. So they really have to interact with the card you send. Now, in this particular scenario, when I'm looking at a hand like this, my mech can get me into the void, but I can also just directly go there with the Infernal Evil. So you've got a couple of different ways you could make it work. And if you want to go for a Fallen and the Virtuous, you can also just send an Albion, which is quite nice. Let's go with an App Cologne. App Cologne will let us add and then discard a card. So depending on what you want to discard in order to set stuff up, I might jump a step ahead and grab Beast being the other Shaddolls monster. And the reason that we do this is that it means my Shaddolls can give me a draw later on. But we'll discard the Squamata. Squamata's effect again, Grista's effect, banish the 3, summon into Mech. Mech pay 800. Grab yourself Void Unleashing. Now you don't need to do the loop around with Construct because you've already got the Shaddolls monster in the hand. So reveal the Beast, get you your 3. You can also reveal the spell actually. Yeah, let's reveal the spell instead. Let's grab the trap card in the form of Schism, and let's grab a monster in the form of Wendy. So we've kind of jumped a step ahead. And then you just need to discard a card, which I can discard the Beast and get me a random draw anyway. There we go. Discard the Beast. draw a random card, doesn't matter what it is. Squamata, not bad. And now, of course, obviously that's in the graveyard. Right, yeah, so now I've got the ability of Lev. Lev can tag this out and go into Construct. Construct and send from deck to grave. Let's send Shaddolls. Set ourselves up with both of these. Now I can activate Shaddolls Fusion. We'll fuse our Wendy plus our Construct and go into Wendy Kuru. Trigger off Construct and trigger off Wendy. So we'll go chain it 1 Wendy, chain it 2 Construct. Construct will add the trap back, so I've got that set ready to go. I mean, you could even add the Shaddolls Fusion back, to be fair. This will then allow us to special summon out Aerial, face down. Wendy Kuru, flip the Aerial. Aerial effect, bring back Squamata. Put both of these together, go into Construct. Construct effect to fuse, use Wendy Kuru and the Construct, go into Construct itself. Effect to send from deck to grave, and then Wendy Kuru, target Shaddolls card in the graveyard and add it back. So we'll add back the Shaddolls Fusion. Construct will send from deck to grave. I could send Hedgehog to get me another monster search, which wouldn't be so bad, especially when I've got the Shaddolls Fusion. So let's send Hedgehog, and then Hedgehog will grab me Dragon. I mean, I don't even need to, I've got loads of resource in the hand right now. I don't even really need to use Construct to bring back, because there's not really anything in the graveyard I want to add. So I'm kind of happy just leaving Construct on the field at this point here. And then I would just go very easily controlled. I completely missed the Void as well, because I haven't used the normal summon. So we'd banish the Void, grab Decatron. I should have done this, you need to do this as soon as you use the Void, because then you go normal summon, effect, send Decatron, Deviati. Decatron is now at Monster Negate, so I should have done that way early. Yeah, and then set. I mean, if I want to, I can Foolish Burial to get me any other resource, but I've already used Beast, so there's no more resource for me to try and get. And then basically during your opponent's turn, you've got a lot to do, a lot you can interact with, because you've got the ability to negate a monster effect, which is fine. It also has the DD Crow effect as well, I believe, so either or. So increase card level by that level of the same monster. If you do, this card's name becomes that monster's original name, and replace this effect with that monster's original effect. So the original effect you've got is when your opponent, when this card is special summoned, destroy spells and traps on the field. Once per turn during either player's turn, when another monster effect is activated, you can tribute one monster and negate the activation. If you do, banish it. So you don't even need to tribute itself, you can tribute any monster. So technically I could tribute off my own Construct. Construct's effect would trigger, but there's nothing in the grave to trigger back from. But the idea, use something first is what I'm trying to say. So in this scenario, I'll play it through so you've got a bit of an idea. So let's go Shaddolls Fusion. We'll use Dragon and Squamata. The benefit of that one is, actually, don't I want Winder? What's my first special summon going to be? Yes, my first special summon will be App Cologne, I think, here. So we'll do this. We then get to trigger off Dragon to destroy an opponent's spell trap. We've got a Squamata to send. So the send will be, I mean, genius if you want another negate, but in the scenario that I'm working towards, I'm going for Grista. Grista's effect, banish itself, and then another Shaddolls of a different attribute, so it doesn't matter what it is really. Just go Hedgehog, which will be my first special summon, or my only special summon under Winder, which becomes App Clone, which becomes a negate. And now what I've got here is if I want to get out of my own, I haven't even used Schism yet. I haven't even used Rest. If I want to get out of my own effect here, if my opponent activates a monster effect, I use Decatron tribute off my own Winder. That's fine. Which will then add back the Shaddolls Fusion. And then during my opponent's turn again, if I want to put them under another Winder, I go Schism, banish Winder, banish Squamata, Winder number 2. So they got rid of the first one. Well, I got rid of the first one, but if they threatened the first one with a monster effect or whatever, we get rid of it. Yeah, and then you're still in a position here that you can activate the Resh, target a Shaddolls monster in my graveyard and special summon it in face out or face down, and then I get to banish it to book it. So whatever monster I haven't used yet that I want to use, I can just bring back Beast for the draws if I want to. But the idea is you've got a very, very strong field here. Very strong field. Yeah. So I like the way that Shaddolls work. I like the fact that they're not abusable as a splashable engine with the new cards. Like Grista locking you into Dolls for the entire turn, and the Lev Shaddolls fusion locking you into dolls for the entire turn, I quite like, because then it means that, you know, Winder doesn't become this abusable card that can be played in every single like type of deck. I quite like that. I like the idea of playing the Dear Servant in the deck, but then you want to go through your extra deck quite a lot, and you want to loop your extra deck quite a lot. So the Dear Servant would only be like a last, not a last chance saloon, but like something you would use right at the end of everything. Anyway, hopefully this gives you an idea of what the deck wants to try and do and how it tries to do it. Any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I'm more than happy to answer them. I really like what the new cards do for this deck. It's going to be very interesting to see if we get any Shaddoll decks up at Nats. I really want to see Tellers versus Dolls on stream. Whether that be through players attending, which would be an unbelievable dream scenario, or maybe I just face one of the other casters, could be pretty cool with Tellers, or just one of you random guys might be pretty cool to face you with Tellers versus Dolls. So let me know. If you have an interest in that one, actually do let me know and we'll see what we can do. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and of course, happy dueling.